All right, welcome back, everyone, to Three Guys, One Music. I'm Jamie. I'm here with Mike and Grant. What is going on, guys?
Hello.
How are you?
All right, how's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. Guys, enjoying that beautiful North Carolina weather?
Oh, yes. It was
Yeah.
chilly and
Really?
rainy today. It was great.
We need
Cloudy.
some rain, so
Do we
I'm
though?
good with it.
Do we
You
though?
guys have had a really nice weather, though, in recent days.
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
you?
The last
Yeah.
Really
week or so
warm?
has been all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had an 80. We hit 80 a couple times.
Oh, wow, nice. I haven't had anything resembling that, but today was actually a beautiful spring day that was very fall-like. It was really lovely.
I like a
And
nice spring fall day, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
that was nice.
nice autumn spring day, you know?
That's the way it was today. Yeah, it wasn't like it was overcast, but it was like mostly there was a little bit of sunshine, light peeking out of those clouds, and it was 40-ish. It was very nice. I enjoyed it. I had few things to do today and was out and about, and I enjoyed the weather very much. So I enjoyed my time today.
Nice.
But this week we're going to talk about our spring album picks, records that we sort of reach for, I guess, perennially. Um, Records that just kind of lift us up, I guess, maybe you would say, you know, consistent with the season. And I think we have some pretty good choices here. So quite different from each other, which is pretty much the norm for us. We have different tastes and different things, but yeah, we'll get into that in a moment. We're going to talk about what we've been listening to. I will go first with that. I have been listening to, let me see if I can remember what I've been listening to. I'm not going to go in order here. I've been listening to Huey Lewis in the News.
Wow.
Yeah, I've just really been enjoying pop song construction. And, I don't look at it as being yuppie rock or whatever you want to call it. I suppose it was, but there were a lot of great songs. And Chris Hayes, I saw he did a Mason Marangella Vertex Effects did a kind of behind the scenes thing with him a week or so ago. And Chris Hayes played his parts, and they were just really good. I enjoyed it very much, but I always enjoyed his melodicism as a guitar player. He played some cool things,
Yeah.
and they were a good band.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you like them really or not, but you had the rhythm guitar player, and he was the high vocals above Huey, and he was just so important. He co-wrote a lot of songs. Johnny, I can't remember his last name, unfortunately. And the drummer, I'm curious what you guys think about the drummer, but he was solid. And
Mhm.
he wrote Hip to Be Square and a few other tracks, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I just enjoy those. He had a good 10, 12 songs that I really enjoyed. So it's good to go back to those occasionally. And I've been listening to the Moody Blues, really from 67 on Days of Future Past all the way up to Your Wildest Dreams in 86. Just the highlights of all those records. Again,
Yeah.
there's a good 10, 12 songs, just great songs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fantastic band.
Yeah, I really enjoy them a lot. And then I've been listening to Tom Petty a lot, enjoying their whole catalog. And really, one of the records it's been a surprise. I completely ignored it. I guess it's been out for over 20 years. Is The Last DJ.
Mm.
That is a strong record. I couldn't believe how consistent it was from track to track. And he apparently wrote a lot of these pieces on piano, which gives it a different feel.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's one of the best records that I heard from them in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
For me, I really enjoyed it a lot. And finally, I've been listening to Udo Dirk Schneider,
Mm.
of Udo, from lead singer of Accept.
You have to say it like that every time. Udo.
That's how I have to say it, yeah.
Okay. I just want to clarify.
Udo.
Udo.
He has a record called Touchdown, which I don't recall what year.
Touchdown. Sorry.
It's just great. for what it is.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it. It's a very visceral. It serves something else completely, in my appetite for music. But
Yeah.
I like it
is it
very much.
instrumental? Is it
Oh
instrumental?
no,
Okay.
it's
Is it?
very
It's more
very much
heavy
like
metal.
Accept. Oh
Okay.
yeah. He was the lead singer for Accept.
Yeah.
Balls to the Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very typical of that, but yeah, it's musical as that genre goes. I think it's quite good, but yeah, I had not paid him any attention. He's one of those. It is so funny whenever you think about the market in Europe and the rest of the world versus U.S.
Yeah.
Udo, I don't think probably ever tours here and
Yeah.
has sold many records, but the rest of the world they're successful enough.
Oh, yeah, there are plenty of
Right.
artists that maybe had a one-hit wonder here or a two-hit wonder, and then
Right.
everybody thinks they just fell off the face of the earth, but the rest of the earth was like, "Yeah, these guys are good. Let's continue to listen to them and support them." And the US is like, "Oh,
Yeah, isn't Aha one of those bands?
they are."
Yeah.
Mhm.
They have maintained a lot of success.
Yep.
Rest of the world, Norway and other regions. Yeah, but that's what I've been listening to. How about you guys?
Michael?
Me?
Me go first? I'll go first.
Sure.
Time traveled back to 1992. Sade.
Love Deluxe.
Yes, that's still it's such a it's almost like a time machine album because it takes me right back. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, a lot was going on in my life at the time, blah blah blah, and it's literally like you drop the needle and so to speak, and you're just back in that time.
Does it
But
bring back good memories? I hope.
oh yes, yes,
Great.
yes.
Great.
Nothing terrible, thankfully.
A creative period of your life, I'm hoping.
Yeah, creative and relationship wise,
Nice.
like I said, just a good. I mean, it's hard to listen to that album and not have a connection to. That's how strong of a pull it has. You know.
Yeah.
Um, let's see what else. Radiohead, Kid A, such a great album. Uh, Probably their first foray into the more experimental side of Radiohead. The new Bill Evans that I told you guys
Oh yeah,
about.
the Norway. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic concert. And I discovered there's another one they're not re-releasing, but releasing. I think it's coming out the 24th of this month, and I forget where it's from. Um,
Hmm.
So there's a little treasure trove somewhere that someone found. And Max Roach, Survivor's album, and his solo album or his solo drum pieces. I can't remember the name of the album. Michael, no help.
No, I'm not.
And Art Blakey, Caravan. Let's see, and odds and sods elsewhere, but that was the main points. A little bit
Is
of
the
everything.
famous standard Caravan on that Art Blakey record?
It is, yes. Mhm.
I would assume. That's probably a
Yeah.
silly question, but I just did not know
Silly.
whether it was. Well, I know who Art Blakey is, but I don't know really his catalog. Really,
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know how much respect people have for him, and he's a
Oh
tremendous
God,
artist.
yes.
Of course.
So simple and so fantastic, and that's not
Yeah.
an insult at all. Just
Right.
solid. You know how you say drummers are solid. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, what you got?
Oh man. Ended the day listening to Father John Misty. Always a fun listen. You know, he's got such a distinct style of writing. And if
Right.
you really listen to the words, it's just he's pretty ridiculous. He's a funny guy. So I enjoy listening to that. Kinga Glick, mentioned her before here. Listen to her latest album, which I won't remember. It's called Real Life. Just some really good jazz on there, and not necessarily just bass guitar music. She stands out, but she lets the band, you know,
Stretch.
it's a song,
Yeah.
you know, so she's not taking over. It's
Right.
an effort to, you know, service the song. So that's cool.
Right.
Listen again to Licky Lee, her Wounded Rhymes album from 2011. Is that when they came out? Yes, 2011, Licky Lee. Seems experimental. Maybe it's not experimental for a Swedish artist, but it's just an emotional album, one of her best. And I just love listening to that. Listen to it over and over. probably to the chagrin of my coworkers who are locked in the same room with me. What else have I listened to? Rosalie, I think I sent you that video. It's really hard to find anything on that group. French. I've seen them twice, called indie techno. I don't know if that's the best term for it. It's kind of synth wave, but very interesting kind of club music.
Right.
2 keyboards and a drummer. Like you said, I don't know why the drummer's there. Maybe they're just good friends. He really needs to, there's plenty of room to stretch out.
He's got the van.
Yeah, he's got the van. But, I don't know the situation, but whether it's a drummer, a real drummer, or drum machine, it's really interesting, atmospheric club type music. And they've been around for a while, I think since 2014. So
atmospheric club music. I like that description.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of subdued. A lot of washy keyboards in there.
It's my kind of club.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting. I just have a comment. I didn't think about this before, but we've been talking about craft work, and did you make a decision that you're going to go see them?
Oh, that ship has sailed.
Oh, it has sailed. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm not, it's not, you see performances from the 70s and it's quite different now, even though it's a great visual show with the video behind them. I don't know, but I love Kraftwerk. I really do. But
I do like their catalog, actually.
I don't know that I need to see them in person.
I was just thinking that
How different would it be?
the French group and then Kraftwerk, I need to see a band move around. I think it would be really it would be unsatisfying to see somebody just behind a keyboard for an hour and a half or whatever. I just don't think it would work for me musically, or whether it's great or not. I mean, that part would be cool. I just don't think it would work for me.
Well, those guys do play different instruments. One of the guys strapped on a guitar and played during one song, and to mix it up, I don't know if that's enough for you, but they both flanked the where are my hands in the picture? They both flanked the drummer, and then after on the next song, one of them got up and went behind the drummer. There's a third keyboard rack, and he's back there playing
secret rack.
It's like, oh, they're mixing it up. He moved to the back of the drummer. But all kidding aside, it's an interesting band. I'm really interested to hear more and find out more about them.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think Depeche Mode is probably as extreme as I can get. You've got, was it Dave?
Yeah, Dave Gahan. Yeah,
Dave Gahan, and then you have Martin Gore, and then you have, is it Andrew?
Who passed away? Didn't Andrew pass away? Andrew,
he might have passed away.
I think he passed away. Yeah.
So you have at least half and half, but you have, I don't know. It's more, I don't know. It's just an observation. As silly as that might be.
At least Gahan just singing, he can roam and work the stage and everything.
And he's a great front man.
Oh yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
Really, really good. And a great singer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've always liked his work. All right. So we'll go ahead and get into our topic. Grant, we'll let you go first. You can go ahead and talk about your choice here.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I was thinking about spring albums and albums.
Yeah, you're the one who suggested this topic, which I like very much.
Like you said, uplifting and give you some hope when you're maybe not feeling so cool, and new season, new hope, new whatever.
Right.
And my choice is the album from 1985, Simple Minds, Once Upon a Time. And
classic 80s record.
Almost every song, well, I would say every song is pushing forward, is uplifting, is positive, is making you feel like there's a chance, and even all these years later, it still resonates as something that makes me feel like something's possible, like it's not things are bad. Things aren't too bad. There's still hope. There's still a way to get through this, blah, blah, blah. And the standouts for me, the first standout is Ghost Dancing. just super, super powerful, uh, resonating music. And I don't know if Jim Kerr got that title from American Indians have a tradition of ghost dancing. It's a circular dance, and it's meant to initially it started out to raise hope against the colonizers and to bring the other tribes together so they could all come together
Yeah.
and rely on one another. So I don't know if he got that from that or he just liked the term ghost dancing. And, you could
Right.
you can interpret a lot of different ways, and I've never read anything
Right.
on his inspiration at all. But that's my first standout. The first song is "Once Upon a Time," and I think that's the my least favorite song. I think it's the weakest song, and I think that's a good way to start the album because the song is good enough to begin the album, but I think the songs only get stronger all the way till the end. I think the album just climbs and climbs and climbs and climbs. I don't think it does any of this. I just think it continues with that feeling, and at the end you're like, wow, this is a very positive journey here, musically. And the my second standout is "Alive and Kicking," that's one of the most hopeful songs ever. I mean, you're still alive and kicking. You still got a shot. You still got you don't like something, you still got a chance to change it. That's it's a common saying, alive and kicking. I'm still alive and kicking. So
I love the arrangement. I've always loved the arrangement.
It's even now that song, if I'm in the right mood, that song can really choke me up, it's so powerful. And that's all I need to say about that.
Well, as much as it builds, you have that, kind of ending where you've got that piano that stands out so much.
Yeah, it's just the piano, but it's drenched in echo, and it's just there. Yeah,
it's such a clever writing tool. I've always loved the arrangement on that. So
yeah, and then those drums come back in. Mel Gaynor, one of my favorite drummers, such a great drummer. It's just and then it just builds up, and it's got that quiet build until a little guitar part comes in, and then it's kind of the fade out or whatever. But it's such a uplifting song. And next, and I don't know if again Jim Kerr wrote this or had the idea as a nod to Springsteen's Jungle Land, but this song is called "Oh Jungle Land," not just Jungle Land. And Springsteen obviously has a famous song Jungle Land, but that's another. And Jim Kerr's lyrics they're not abstract, but they don't spell things out. It's just, it's hints of this and hints of that. And you kind of put together your own picture. And again, he's referring to it as some kind of place, whether it's a place of inspiration or a place you need to escape from. It's hard to tell sometimes in the lyrics, but it's again, it just climbs with that upbeat, about we're gonna survive, blah blah blah, we're gonna do this, and I need to quit saying blah 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 so much. But yeah, that song, and I don't know how familiar he is with the Springsteen song, but I tried to look up where that the just the phrase Jungle Land originated, and I really couldn't find anything. I know I've heard it before in different connotations. There's even a movie about boxing called Jungle Land.
Well, I mean, New York City.
Yeah, of course.
Or any
area. Yeah.
Mike, you wrote a piece, "The Jungle" in the title for Brent's project, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty well-known term.
Yeah.
It is like,
oh yeah, I've heard it for a million years, but
right.
There was
Jungle
nothing.
Land itself. I don't know that I agree with you. I don't know that I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, there's common like places in certain cities. Just for example, Hell's Kitchen or whatever. It's not official, but it's just called. And I in doing a little research, I couldn't find any city in the world where they just referred to as a certain part of it as Jungle Land. But I can imagine, it's a modern city, and it's just
got to hustle to survive.
Exactly, and it feels like it's coming down on you sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's such a great song. And next standout for me is "I Wish You Were Here." That's probably the most the song that's not purely upbeat. It's kind of melancholy, but it still has a hopefulness to it, you know. And there are a couple other famous songs. Obviously, "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd, you know, paying tribute to Sid and everything. And then the Incubus song is a fantastic song. And I was trying to think, are there any songs called "I Wish You Were Here" or "Wish You Were Here" that aren't bad? I mean, that aren't good, because every song with that title seems to be a really good song.
Right.
And then my last standout is "Come a Long Way." Is the closing track, and it's cool because it's dichotomous. We've come a long way just through this whole album, and all the emotions and all the stuff that's pulled out of the lyrics and the feelings from the album, and yet you still got a ways to go. You're still moving forward. You know, it's not like anything has stopped. So it's just, even after the final note is played, you're still moving forward or whatever. And so that's just, to me, that's one of the most hopeful albums ever made. And there's not a bad track on the album. Like I said, you can put it on and you can just listen to it. You know, obviously we are going to have all our favorites and not favorites, but that's one of the very few albums that you can just put it on and let it play, you know. And even if it's not your favorite song, it's like, okay, this is good though, you know.
Yeah.
But
I would say for this record that it is a very 80s record. But when you think back at that time, which we can, since we lived through it, I'm really hard pressed to try to think of another record that had that good of a production. It was really well recorded and produced. Shelley Yakus was Jimmy Iovine's right hand man. He wasn't the engineer on this record, was he?
I don't know. I think Bruce Fairbairn worked on it as well.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
I'm not 100. I remember seeing his name somewhere, and I meant to go over the liner notes, but I didn't get a chance to today.
It sounds great. And I do think the songs are really strong. It's, you know, 3 of the songs you mentioned were 3 of my favorites. And then Ghost Machine, is it Ghost Dancing and Old Jungle Land. Those are actually 2 of my least favorite.
Yeah.
But I do think that record is very strong. And I love Jim Kerr's vocals on it.
Yeah.
I think he's very passionate on this record. They were obviously uplifted from the success of, you know, The Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
forget about me. I mean, it had to be uplifting. That was what, a year before?
Yeah.
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 So they had enough time to enjoy that success to motivate them a little bit. But it's really well done. And I think Alive and Kicking is in the top 25 80 songs.
Yeah.
Possibly. It's a really good song.
Yeah, they wanted at first the record company wanted them to include "Don't You Forget About Me," even though it had been the previous year, but they were like, "No, it doesn't work with this album," you know, because it's not on any album. It's only a single. It's not on any Simple Minds album. And you know, Billy Idol turned down Keith Forsey, who wrote it, the producer. He offered it to Billy Idol first, and for some reason, Billy Idol turned it down. But you can hear that same kind of voice. I mean, looking for that lower singer, you know, not somebody singing in a higher register.
Billy Idol would have done a great job with it.
You can hear it.
It would have been a great song with him as well, especially if you think about Steve Stevens.
Oh yeah.
His interpretation of that, it would have been different.
Oh yeah.
But it would have been cool too.
Oh
I
yeah.
did not know that he was offered that song, but that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really solid record, and I definitely know what you're talking about with the positive vibes on it, and that's important, you know. But I guess that record came out around Halloween.
Yeah, October sometime. Yeah,
but you associate it with spring.
Yeah,
you know,
I associate it with spring. Yeah,
and I actually don't even know what month My Choice came out. I have no idea. It might have come out in October as well, as far as I know, but it doesn't matter. It's, you know, whenever we really connect with that record. So, well, Mike, you want to go next?
But, well, I have some comments.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I didn't
of course.
want to interrupt.
Yeah,
Alive and Kicking, a great song.
Yeah.
It really has a lot of U2 influence, I think. That album
It
does.
does. It does.
But they were top of the charts at that time.
Yeah.
So
Hard to avoid, probably.
hard to avoid that. But yeah, a lot of U2 influence, and in that song "Alive and Kicking," probably the most obvious. Mel Gaynor's drumming throughout. That is such a big drum sound, and he's a powerful drummer, and he's solid as can be. He's just a great drummer, and I love to listen to him. Very tasteful. I'm choking up again.
The live, when he cut you off, the live drumming that he does on that tour is even better, because during the studio you've only got limited time, and you've got to leave room. If you're not sure where this guitar part's going or where this vocal's going, you got to pull back. But the live stuff is even more amazing just for the drums.
He's super at what he does. But interesting thing I note about, I'm not familiar with Simple Minds. Of course, I've heard them on the radio, but when you mentioned this topic, and that was your choice, I went and listened to it. And a great album. One thing I would disagree with is, and I don't know the names of the songs, but they're two faster tempo songs. Don't stand out as much to me. I don't think they're as good as the rest of the songs when they're kind of laid back into a slower tempo, into a groove. It really works for them. The faster songs, not so much. And it's interesting when you find a band's signature songwriting style. Something that comes up in this in a couple of songs in this album, and Don't You Forget About Me, it's the main part of it, is hitting those notes on one and the end of two, dun dun, and that's that's the opening riff of Don't You, and it's in some of the, like, 2 or 3 of the songs on that album, and I thought, well, that's it's interesting that that simple phrase, you can make it work in so many different
I can hear it in my head now.
So,
now I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's on. The notes on one and the end of two, and that's that caught my attention. And now that's all you'll hear when you listen to Simple Minds.
No, that's all you were hearing.
I have a venture a story like that. I have a Venture's Greatest Hits, and the last song on the album is live. It's supposed to be live, but somebody whistles in the audience in the middle of all the applause, and for the rest of the song, every like 15 17 seconds you hear that whistle. I'm like, this is not live. They've got the audience on a loop. But once you hear those markers or those telltale things, like that musical note that they hit, for me anyway, I'm always drawn to that. Here it comes, there it is. Waiting for it to come up again. But anyway, it was a great choice. It is a good feeling album. I mentioned 2 songs that don't really connect with me, but still solid songs, and a really good listen. I enjoyed listening to that, so I'm glad you brought it up. My choice is out in left field, and I'm ready for the attacks, because when you're looking for an uplifting album, uplifting music or something, for me, this is meditative, something I can contemplate too. If I'm in a bad mood and I pull this album out, put it on, it's not a distraction from whatever's aggravating me. It's a salve for whatever, it just smooths out my feelings. I get lost in this, and the album is mirrored. The first album from Battles, 2000. Wait, I got to look it up. 2007, mirrored by Battles. Battles is some call them math rock, experimental rock. It's
yes,
both of those, and neither. It's just a wacky and wonderful, and like I said, contemplative. I can meditate to this. I could get lost in it. I can hum along. It's just it's my kind of tunes. The obvious track on there is Atlas, which has been used in car commercials and video games, but it starts out with that pumping primal drum beat. John, what's his name? John Stainer from Helmet is their drummer.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I didn't
really?
know that.
And he just bounces along to introduce that song. And then there's the thumping guitar and synthesizer parts come in. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. And this song has a vocal line. This is one of the very few bands that has vocals, and I don't want to know the words because you can't understand it.
Yeah.
Very, very few words you can understand because it's so processed. But the vocal line follows that bouncing rhythm. Da, 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 da. It's up and down and up and down. And it just, it's so dense with the different little inflections and parts that bounce along together with the beat. And it's so unusual. And I think because of the complexity, I can get lost in all that's happening, and I can pick apart and analyze what's happening. It's like, it's kind of an odd thing, but it's like the breathing exercises when you focus on your inhale and then you focus on your exhale. And that's all it is. And when you get distracted, you go back to that. And when I'm listening to this music, something always comes up in the next refrain that brings me back to what I'm listening to. It's not just that one song. Atlas is a great song. It's a fun song. Even the opening track, I like the polyrhythm fake out because it starts in 1 meter and you're counting along. And then the swell of the music and drums comes up and it's actually a different meter. So I like it when people play with the rhythmic structure, and I can get fooled, and you're waiting for that to come up again. What else? I've got so many notes here. Like I said, I wrote them very quickly. Tonto's another release of theirs, which is a great song. It's kind of a slow build, and it's kind of, it never really takes off. There's a rhythm that's searching. There's a melody that's searching for something, and it kind of drags you along. Maybe not drags you along, but you want to follow this beat, to find where it's going. And there's so much. It's very simple, but there's so much complexity to each of the songs. And
I would say complexity is probably the very good descriptor.
Yeah. There's one song I wanted to talk about. Anyway, they've got kind of I could hear this album played on Sesame Street, because even though it's complex and kind of weird, there's a nursery rhyme meter to some of the songs.
Playfulness.
Yeah, there's a playfulness and that da da da, that back and forth, that up and down. Those are things that you could hum along to even if you don't know. And this is, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else to calm their nerves or meditate to.
Yeah, it could be the opposite to someone.
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm going to make a weird choice anyway, but to me, this is a comfy chair and a good smoke after dinner. That's what this album is. And it's not necessarily a spring album to me. It's not something I pull out every spring, but it does equate to me that uplifting, that hopeful, that optimistic feeling. That's what I get from it. So
nice. Yeah, I had a couple of songs I really got into. That Leyendecker.
Yeah.
Bad Trails. Tidge, I believe that's T-I-J. I don't know if they call it Tidge or T-I-J.
Yeah.
And then the last song, Race Out.
Race Out, yeah.
And Race In is the first one, and Race Out. So, and those tunes I could get into.
Yeah, Race In is the one with the polymeter.
Yeah.
That kind of throws you off.
It reminded me that take this with a grain of salt. Early Yes, the instrumental parts, Solo Gabriel, King Crimson, and Mars Volta in a blender.
All that together.
Yeah.
King Crimson is one of my, Yeah, I'm gonna mention King Crimson.
Yeah, and
my
and
comments. Yeah.
I'm gonna play the blunt card here and say I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. This is not something I would ever choose to listen to. Um, Not that it's bad. It's just if I heard that first song, if I didn't delve into this because you said I like this and this makes me feel a certain way. If
Yeah.
I had just heard the opening song, I'd have been like, "This isn't for me." And it's not pejorative. I'm just like I wouldn't have gone further. I wouldn't have found the songs that I do like.
If we go to the racetrack this summer, you better bring some tunes with you.
Yeah,
You might be listening to this on the way
funny.
there.
And then what was my other? I was gonna say this album is like being trapped in a carnival fun house for an hour.
Hey, that's a pretty good analogy there.
And are they mentally ill? Was my other comment, but that's in a joking way. Obviously, don't send letters. But yeah, I get it. I'm not sure about the uplifting part, but whatever works for you is whatever works for you.
Well, I every time I hear any of those songs, I imagine them putting it together. And it feels like it feels like a building. Every song feels like it's being built right then. And that's what I like.
You're like analyzing.
Yeah, there are different textures. Even Atlas at the end, there's a rhythm that goes back and forth, and you've got one bar of this rhythm, and then the next bar is a different version of that with a different, at first it's guitar, then it's the bass, then it's the Moog, and then it's a different synth, and then it's guitar. It just back and forth all the way, marching all the way out of the studio. And this building and then decomposition of the songs as an intro and an outro is very interesting to me. And it's just,
I thought that part
it just
was cool.
touches me in the right way.
Pause.
Okay.
Pause.
Okay. I have some comments.
Okay.
This is not gonna be negative, but I want to say,
yeah, mine weren't negative. Just
I listened to. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I shouldn't have implied that you were being negative. You weren't.
Oh no, I didn't. I just meant mine weren't. I was clarifying mine weren't either. So
yeah. I would say listening to the first 45 seconds to a minute, I remember thinking, I'm going to hate this. But I did not. Actually, Race In is one of my 4 favorite songs on it.
Yeah.
And those 4 songs are Race In, Rainbow,
Rainbow's excellent.
Prismism,
Prismism.
and Snare
like
Hank.
title.
I like those 4 tracks very much. Yeah. And actually, Atlas did not make as big of an impression on me. I don't think I'd ever heard it in any.
Me either.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Atlas, I don't. It didn't ring a bell to me, but those 4, the more that I listened to Race In, I thought, oh, I really want to say this. I'm glad you turned me on to it because I actually did enjoy this. And I see exactly what you're talking about when the meditative thing.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. Now, there were parts of listening to songs I thought this would drive me crazy if I was forced to listen to this in certain situations. And certainly you could run a lot of people out of a room with it. But I understood it was so math-y. Whenever you chose it, I thought this is such a Mike pick.
The math is in the name.
Exactly.
It's right there for you.
But the comment that I've got, I have to say, it occurred to me within the first 5 minutes. They sound like a combination to me of King Crimson and Tom Tom Club.
Oh, okay.
That playfulness and that I don't know, mischievous sort of. And then you've got the exact part, the King Crimson type of thing, but you've got the real loose. I don't know if loose is the right word, but the
playful,
the eerie vocals that you have sort of. Tom Tom Club definitely came to mind when I but I did enjoy it actually. I listened to it a couple of times over the last few days. It was a challenge, but like I said, those 4 songs, it's something that you need to invest in.
Yeah.
The first few seconds of some of the songs, you're like, no way.
Yeah, you have to listen to it. You can't just turn on it and have a reaction and go, ew, what is this or whatever. Yeah. Just like if you're listening to, and I'm not saying that because it's this. I'm saying, you can find some Taylor Swift song you like. Just because it's Taylor Swift doesn't mean there's not some songs you're going to find that you like,
Well, there are some songs that you are challenged by. And
Mhm.
I was thinking of this as I made it through racing because at first I did not like
Made
it.
it through.
And once I made it through the song, I thought, "Oh, that was kinda cool." And it really did make a good impression on me. And then
Yeah.
like I said, I picked out a few more tracks that I like. I liked Decker,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but the 4 that I mentioned were the standouts for me.
Yeah.
But I did spend some time with it. But I would say that the stuff that is maybe more atypical of your, normal listening catalog, that's the stuff that really may seep in there somewhere and change your writing behavior,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which can only be a good thing, I think. So I think it's worth investing in time in something like this. You have to challenge yourself and listen to different things. So
And I cheated and I listened ahead to some of their other stuff, and
yeah.
I'm really digging some obviously that was their first album and they
Yeah.
were just figuring out what was
Oh,
going on and what was working. And I think their stuff only gets better. And
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I didn't do a deep dive, but I mean,
Right.
and better, but I mean, to me, more musical,
Yeah.
more even more complicated at some things
Their
too,
Oh,
you
their
know?
wow.
next 2 albums are really absorbing, I'll say, just like
Okay.
this one was for me. But, I find I'm surprised that you liked, Snare Hanger, as one of those because I just thought that was, it's kind of a, I don't wanna say cacophonous tune, but,
Well,
it's
there
kind of
are
harsh
elements of
compared
it.
to the other.
There are
Yeah.
elements that sort of drove me crazy, but
Yeah.
it's rewarding in a weird way.
Yeah.
It really did stay with me, more so than some of the other tracks. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you turned me on to it. I appreciate it. It really was a worthwhile listen for
Oh
me.
yeah. Yeah.
So I
I
did enjoy
like
it.
that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
What have you got
give
for us, Jamie?
I have I would consider one of
The greatest
I
albums of all time.
I'm not really sure that I would put it up in the greatest records of all time, but it's certainly one that is well thought of, and I enjoy it very much. But it's Van Morrison's Moondance from 1970. And I was thinking a lot about this the last couple days. I texted you guys, I don't know, a few days ago, asking or just making the comment that I don't remember what got me into them. But I thought about this today when I was running errands. I was listening to it again, and I think I do remember what got me into the record. Um, in the spring of 93, I was going through a lot of changes and I was in Miami and I was in Philadelphia working. And I was
That's
that
two
part
opposite
of my,
cities.
yeah, I was really starting to see a lot of the country for the first time and being exposed to new things. And I think that the guy that I was working with, Domino, came on the radio and we were driving to Miami, maybe. And I hadn't really thought about Van Morrison that much. I was familiar with him sort of, but really hadn't paid much attention to him. And this guy was enjoying dominoes so much. And I thought, God, this really is kind of great. Really is fun. And although I don't love the song Domino, but I definitely understand the appeal. It's not my favorite song by Van Morrison. There are other tracks that I love much more, but I understand why it's so well thought of. Um, But I think that's what got me interested in Van Morrison, and maybe Jim Wershing recommended Moondance. I didn't
Mm.
really know enough about his catalog to say which is a great record. I wasn't really looking for the song Domino on a record. I didn't even know what record it was on at that time, but I don't know where Moondance came in it for me, but that record just satisfied that in me. But I do also remember thinking to myself that at that part of my musical life, I'd been playing guitar for a while, several years, and I thought I was fairly sophisticated. But that period of my life, there was a lot of change. I started listening to Frank Sinatra during that period of time and really broadened my horizons. And I do remember thinking to myself that, oh, I'm kind of hip here. I'm listening to Van Morrison. because I didn't have any friends that listened to it. I didn't know anybody that I could share. It's like, God, man, are you familiar with Moondance? I was completely out on an island by myself, as far as I knew. I didn't talk to anybody in my circles that listened to it.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it just connected the dots for me. And I would say the first side of, if you want to look at it that way, which it would be on a record, the first 5 songs of Moondance, it's just a perfect first side.
Yeah.
Yeah, And It Stoned Me. Is it Crazy Love?
Yeah.
No, the title
Moondance
track,
and
the
then
title
Crazy
track,
Love, yeah.
Moondance, and Crazy Love, and then
Crazy Love.
Caravan, and then possibly one of the greatest songs of all time, Into the Mystic. And that song really affected me. And I just listened to this. And then the second side is very strong as well. You have Come Running, Brand New Day, Everyone, Glad Tidings, which I really love. And they played that at one of the very last episodes of The Sopranos. Really a unique scene when they used that. It's a very strong record. But it's so positive, I think. I think it's a very uplifting record. And it affected me at a time in my life, and it just happened to be in the springtime. So I do associate this record with the spring. But after listening to it today, because I rarely listen to side 2, but listening to that, it's so positive. It's just optimistic and really is enjoyable. Listen, I think. I mean, if you just listen to the deep cuts on it, if you want to call it that, they're still very good songs.
Oh yeah, I hadn't listened to the album, the whole album, in a long time, and because we were doing this, obviously, I said I'm going to listen to it. Just drop the needle, let it play, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this song. Oh yeah, you know. So
yeah,
it's such a good record, but it is a very optimistic record, hopeful. I think this just feels so great, but I just love the production on it. And I love his songwriting, of course.
Yeah.
It is, I think most people would consider this as the pinnacle of his writing career. He wrote many great tracks, but this record is maybe Astro Week's. A lot of people consider his best record. I don't. I think Moondance is his best record.
This is his most, when he started writing more, I guess, traditional songs, getting away from the more open, kind of jazzy, kind of whatever. Even though Moondance is very jazzy, it's just more structured.
Astral is more experimental. And I just don't think it was on everyone's palate back then.
I don't think it reached the people like Moondance did. Moondance was just a very successful record all the way around. I think critically and commercially, but it's just a very good record.
Yeah. I think all the planets were aligned for him then. Everyone, I love that song. Caravan too. Besides the obvious, you know.
Right.
Moondance is just an amazing song, you know. It's sexual, but it's really romantic. The words. Crazy Love.
I love
not
its
as
vocal
impressed
on that song though.
With
that's
the words on that. It's kind of a just a regular love song, but still such an amazing song.
His vocal tone changes on that song.
His delivery is what makes that.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
The lyrics are Second Citizen.
Yeah,
it's such a vulnerable, delicate way that he's delivering that, and the female background vocals really add another dimension to that song. But it's totally about the delivery on that to me.
Well, the lyrics are important, but it is important how he delivers it too, and he knows exactly what he's doing, exactly what he wants on that album. That's what makes it so great. And the the R&B horns, that's going to be attractive to me just because
me too.
It's got that Stax kind of sound, those warm horns and the jazzy rhythms of Moondance and among other songs on there. I think it really is his best album.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I agree with Into the Mystic's always been the first time I ever heard that song. I can't recall where I was, but I know I just shut up everybody and what is this? It's just such an amazing.
Isn't it amazing that somebody can write a song that maybe they've never heard and then they
Mhm.
listen to it and go, "Okay, I get it immediately." I
Mhm.
think that's one of those songs. If there's a song
Yeah.
out there, it's one of them.
Yeah.
It's really got a vibe. It's really an incredible song. It
Yeah.
it I think it lives up to all the hype
Oh,
anybody
yeah.
could give it,
Mhm.
and then when I listen to something like "And It Stone Me," the opening track, his
Yeah.
vocal delivery is very different or
Mhm.
different for each track, depending on the mood of the song.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would say his vocal delivery on "And It Stone Me" is he doesn't repeat it on the record. It's very kinda down homey,
Yeah.
for lack of a better way to put it. It's very, you know, I don't know. It feels like you can just kind of visualize them going fishing. It
Mhm.
just is it's a country song, the
Yeah.
way it's delivered, but then you have something very different on Moondance.
Yeah. It's a
And
very different approach to each song.
very much so, but yet it's cohesive. It doesn't
Yeah.
Mhm.
feel like it's a hodgepodge of songs to me at all. I love the acoustic guitar work on this record. I
Yeah.
don't know the gentleman's name that, played on it, but he did
Mhm.
such a great job of adding to the songs,
Yeah.
and it's just got such a great vibe on it.
Jamie, I wanted to tell you that
Yeah.
my boy Gary Malaber is the drummer on that album
Is that
from
right?
Steve Miller. Yeah.
Is that
Oh, wow.
right? Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny,
That's
he
cool.
used a lot of people from the San Francisco area,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because Ronnie Montrose played on the next record, Tupelo Honey, and he was the Bay Area, but I
Yeah.
don't know where that Bay Area thing came from, if he was attracted to the Bay Area or what, but
Yeah, I don't know
I
because I
assumed these were all New York
yeah,
musicians.
exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
thought, and I was deep diving, and I was like, because I remember when I mentioned Gary when we were talking about the drummers, and I
Yeah,
did mention Van Morrison, but I wasn't sure exactly what tracks he'd played on, and I said,
right.
as we were researching this, I said, let me just go a little farther, and I was like, oh, okay, he is the drummer on that, and now on that album, and I thought he was, but was clarified, so
Interesting.
yeah, so such tasteful drumming,
Yeah.
so.
He's great.
The instrumentation is just well done. I don't know,
Yeah.
did Van Morrison produce this record? I looked into this years ago, and I don't remember many details, and I didn't do that for this
I think
this
he
podcast.
had a producer. I can't remember the producer's name, but Van Morrison was ready to do his own thing and kind of pushed the producer out of the way and said, "I got this."
Yeah,
So
and
he did kind of produce it.
this album, if anyone had told me that Robbie Robertson produced this album, I would say I can hear that because it's very
Yeah,
much sounds like a band album. The
Mhm.
cohesion and the instrumentation,
Yeah.
it
yeah.
struck me again. Listen to it, I was like, this very much sounds like the band.
Yeah.
I mean, if
I think they
I've
were
never
an
even thought
influence
about
in
that.
I think they
That
were an
they had to be.
influence on the writing of
yeah,
the album.
yeah,
I think you're right, Grant. That's a very
yeah,
interesting observation. I would not even have thought about that, but I think you're right.
yeah, it
The
just
band
struck me.
had to influence him.
Yeah, it just kind of stoned me when I was listening. I was like, okay, this could, if someone had said Robbie produced this, or some of the band members played on this, you can
Right.
almost hear it, because that upstate New York thing,
It really
and
does sound like it was recorded in
yeah,
Woodstock or something.
Mhm.
It's got that feel to it.
hmm
It is a very New York sounding record to me. So it does
Yeah.
surprise me that a drummer from I'm assuming that Gary Malaber is from San Francisco.
yeah. I
Just
guess a lot of the
assuming.
West Coast people he's played with, so I don't know
Yeah.
if
But maybe he was on the East Coast at the time. I don't
yeah,
even know where this record was recorded. Was it recorded
yeah.
in New York City?
I have no idea.
It
I
was
didn't.
recorded in New York, but
Was it okay?
I don't know, city or I mean, he was living in New York at the time.
Yeah,
It was.
Um,
Okay. All right.
so
yeah. He
but
wrote that. He
somewhere on
wrote.
the
I
East
think
Coast.
he and was it his wife or girlfriend lived in they
Yes,
rented a
yeah.
house somewhere, and
Mm.
I think he wrote all the songs in a very short amount of time, from what I remember reading about. And it was recorded. It only took 2 months to record
Mm.
because he'd written them already and knew what he wanted.
That sounds about right. It
Yeah,
feels like it's not a rushed record, but it feels like it's a very focused record.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got a certain feel to it that he captured a moment.
I think it happens more with songwriters, individual songwriters, where they spend 6 months, a year working on their songs, and then
Yeah.
when they get in the studio, they basically know how it's going to go, and it's much quicker. Whereas if you've got a band and you have an album and you go tour and then you go your separate ways for 3 or 4 months, then you get back together and say, oh, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? It takes a lot longer to build those songs. And I guess that's why some bands rented a house, and then worked on the songs and then went to the studio, because it's a lot cheaper than wasting 10, 12 hours a day in the studio. But I think with songwriters, singer songwriters, the songs are already done, missing maybe minor things, or you get inspiration listening to other musicians adding parts. You're like, oh, I might do this, I might do that, but for the most part, I think recording goes pretty quickly.
I think that what's interesting is we all know that being creative is not easy. I mean, it can be. If you get into the right headspace and find the right path, you can kind of pick the fruit off the tree, but it doesn't really happen. You can't just make it happen. You have these certain things that can happen, like if you were renting a house, you're just in a great headspace and you're able to just get in touch with your creative side more easily. It just happens sometimes. There is just no easy method to do it. And just doing it a lot, if you're writing songs and I don't know if there's a songwriter that was as consistent. I was just thinking about like Bruce Springsteen, from 74 to 80, or maybe even 84. I mean, he was just super prolific.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to think about how many songs he was writing, and good songs, So you have people like that. You have Van Morrison. Yeah. So you have all these different, you have to just get into the right headspace, I guess. It's hard to do. It's hard to do where you don't have to worry about paying the bills.
Yeah.
You could just get in. That's the secret to me, is like allowing yourself to go to that deep place, because then you don't want to get out of it. And you're like upset because you actually have to pay attention to your daily needs, so to speak.
Yeah. Life intrudes.
Right. That's the part that always kind of bums me out. It's like I'm almost afraid to let myself get to that place, because I'm not going to be happy, because I have to climb out of that hole.
Yeah.
And it's a good hole, but it's
we're doing phrasing.
Pause.
All right. It's a good hole. Yeah. All right. Well, no double entendres here. Well, this was an interesting exercise in talking about records that mean a lot to us, but I think these are 3 solid picks. Really are interesting to listen to, and I challenge those who have not heard these records, really check them out. These are worth a listen. I think these are they're all very different, from different eras. These are basically spaced, 15, 20 years apart. Roughly.
Yeah, 1970 is Van Morrison, 85 is Simple Minds, and 2007 is.
So you have a 15 and then a 22-year gap. But they're all worth listening to, and I do think that these are enjoyable records and timeless in a certain way, and have lived up. But I think we'll leave it at that. You guys have any more comments or anything you want to add?
No, just stay tuned and we'll do summer, fall, and winter.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. And we'll have an open album focus coming up here in the near future. And we'll talk about that soon. Thanks everybody for checking in. We truly appreciate it. See you next week.
Be well.
I had a guy tell me be well today, and I thought of you. I never hear that. Be well. I said,
what movie is that from?
Is that from a movie?
Be well. Is that from Demolition Man?
I'll have to look that up. Put it in the comments.
I always play the clave to this. I don't know why.
A new piece of music is coming.
Recorded on a new amp.
It will be. Yeah, it will be.